Ladies and gentlemen, we now bring you a special presentation to Sportswire Radio. Join us tonight in taking a break from all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling, from the tables, the ladders, the chairs, and to all the hardcore, as we bring you somebody who is far more than the definition of hardcore, as we go and join her and talk about her journey that has led her to all over the world in several of some of the most important roles yet we'll have ever had a chance to speak about here on Sportswire Radio. Some of those roles include being an assistant coach for our Queens College Knights women's soccer team, who went to the ECC tournament for the first time in over a decade. She's the head coach of the Long Island Futsal Academy. She's also a member of the board of directors of the American Amputee Soccer Association. And get this, ladies and gentlemen, not only is she the goalkeeper coach for the United States of America National Amputee Soccer Team, she's even the head coach for the entire country of over 320 million people for the United States of America Women's Soccer Amputee Team. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on and on about our guest. Our guest has served our communities here for over the past decade, and even in that time, at all the roles that she has, she even finds time to play the game, and on top of that, especially serve our community here on Long Island as a social worker. It's time to give our guest tonight on Sportswire Radio that introduction that many of her peers have gotten, including the likes of our most recent guest, Jason Facina, the head coach of the Five Town Sound men's soccer team, who, if it wasn't for Coach Facina, we would not be talking with our guest, and the women's coach of the Five Town Sound women's soccer team, Jeff Litwin. So with that, without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, the jack of all trades, but most importantly, the head coach of our U.S. women's soccer amputee team, Coach, how'd we do?
That was very impressive. You need an additional set of lungs, though.
Well, this is I think my 20th show in 13 days, which is counting a side show I do Wednesday nights on 3 radio stations doing news. I've done 20 of these in 13 times. So you could say I'm in lung shape. Now, I tried to kind of, for the interview, kind of get back into soccer shape, to get back into playing shape, maybe to see if there's a role for me on the team. But unfortunately, I think those days are past me. But certainly the lungs are still in shape that we can still do these things. We'll see, though, in a couple of days. I'm on live, I think, 4 or 5 more times. But it is an absolute honor to have you. You know, Coach, I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this. It'll be 5 years, 2 weeks from today. But I don't think I've ever had somebody that's actually a head coach for an entire country. I mean, you think about it, right? We've had on all these big famous wrestling stars. They're in front of millions of homes. We have on all these famous different people in the sporting world. We've even done news in the past, had a few people that served office. But Coach Palazzolo, you are a head coach of the United States of America women's amputee soccer team. And I have to ask you the question, especially for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the people's radio station. What does that mean to you to actually be the head coach of the United States of America? I repeat, the United States of America women's amputee soccer team.
Oh my gosh, it means so many things to me. I have been involved with the American Amputee Soccer Association for going on 2.5 years now. It started with me being as the goalkeeper coach on the men's side of things. Back then, it was just the national team because we didn't have a women's team. But after my first training camp with the men's team, Coach Eric Lamberg and the president of the Amputee Soccer Association, he asked me, he goes, our next goal is to build a women's team. Would you like to be part of that staff? And I said, absolutely. I think that's amazing. I'm a big advocate for women's sports.
Sure.
So it
me
was
too.
an
Me too. I've covered a lot of it throughout my 5 years. I think that there's far better women's athletes than yours truly. I pretty much train out there to play out there in the teams for you. And I obviously can't cut the mustard. There's a lot more women out there that are certainly more talented than yours truly. I was trying to make you laugh at least.
You're good at it. I appreciate it. Makes it more fun. But in all seriousness, yeah, it's incredible. It's been an awesome ride. This is a very fresh team. We just started. We're not even a year into this. We started May of 2023 with our first camp having 4 women. That was it. And now I think we have around like between 12 and 15 recruited total.
Wow.
And that's a very short amount of time. And just seeing what this sport has done for people, oh my gosh, there is no feeling, and there's nothing like it. It's saved lives. It's given new perspectives. It's really given some a brand new purpose. And it's just an absolute honor for me to be a part of that.
Let me ask you, and I'll get to comments. I want to say hello to people in a few minutes, but let me ask you a question. I have been thinking about this for a while. I caught you on a podcast, obviously, you did last month, and I've gotten a chance to kind of look at some of the different videos I've seen in terms of amputee athletes, and especially with what you deal with. How does that, in a way, make you appreciate what you have? We think about life, right? We take a lot of things for granted, right? We take for granted the ability to walk, the ability to run. We take for granted having 2 hands to go eat with and, use our, utensils for, and, all the shower and, every single thing that, people kind of take for granted for. And kind of in a general question, I know it's kind of maybe not the question everybody would want to hear off the bat, but I would kind of want to know, what does it mean to you, and kind of how do you maybe appreciate your life more when you see what these athletes, what they go through in terms of just trying to go out there and be on the field and achieve their dreams and, go out there. I speak with a lot of wrestlers all over the place, right? I mean, we do different things here on Sportzwire. We really get, live. I could never see any of my guys that come on here, any of my guys that come on the platform and not have, an arm or a leg or a hand. And, how does that make you appreciate kind of what you have in life after seeing with all your players, what they go through?
I have 2 sides that I always answer to this question.
Okay.
And, my regular job, my regular career is a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen the worst of the worst. I've worked in juvenile detention, foster care. I work in a school where I've seen some pretty terrible things. And then on top of that, I go and work with amputee athletes who are missing a limb. And I'm like, I've seen so many things, and I'm so grateful for all the blessings that I've received and having such an amazing family that supports me every step of the way. I mean, I'm always so taken back by how people just can't see what's right in front of them. That they take for granted, like you said, just being able to walk on 2 legs and just being able to brush your teeth and then use the other hand for something ready to do, like some mouthwash.
Listen, I mean, it's a serious thing. Everybody, I hear people all the time complain, I don't have enough money. I don't have the job I want or the relationship I want. But then you know what? You take a step back in life and you go and see what your players go through each and every day, whether it's those that are, let's say, maybe they're homeless, or let's say they don't have a job, or they came here to this country and they're migrants and they're being persecuted, or all these different things that almost what your players go through, and our trivial pursuits that we kind of say, you know what? Maybe I wish I had this, maybe I had that. Our materials we want more from, but then when we see with what your players, what they go through, I mean, it's almost like you really want a reality check. You really want them in a way, almost kind of like say, you know what? You have no idea what's in front of you. You have no idea how grateful you are. You have no idea how you take things for granted. It reminds me when I was a kid growing up in Brooklyn. We didn't have that much, but we had enough that I had a roof over my head. And if I was lucky, I had a plate for a lunch and dinner. If I was lucky, depending if I was in trouble. My parents probably would have wanted to put me in the juvenile hall a few times. But the point is that, we had so much compared to what your players go through. And I feel like sometimes life, people don't realize what they have in front of them. And then I think what you see every single day, I think it'd make people appreciate just some of the finer things that they have.
Totally. And there's two sides to this coin, especially when it comes to the athletes. Some of them have incredible stories that you can find in the news. A lot of them
Juan
are on
Vargas
local
is an
news.
example of that. Juan Vargas, big story on
Juan
that.
Vargas. He is a player for the New York Metro amputee soccer team under Jimmy Franks. Amazing player, so humble. I look up to Juan for, everything that he's doing in this country and to be here and still playing soccer. He lives in a homeless shelter, works nights, and then takes a train for 2 hours to come practice with us every Saturday. Like, talk about humble and just always being grateful for the experience. He's just an amazing individual, but at the same time, they don't want a sob story. They when I went and trained these athletes, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I'm like, oh, I gotta take it easy, like, I gotta roll the ball and see what's going on. No, absolutely not. They play like regular people.
Yeah, I was
Like,
watching some of the videos and I was watching. I'm like, wow, they're actually like, like I said, they're better players than me. I mean, listen, coach, like I said, I don't think you'd want me. You want them instead of me. I tell you that much.
I train them as if I train my regular goalkeepers on Long Island. There really is no difference. These people are incredible, better than some athletes with all limbs. Honestly,
I'll raise my hand. I mean, I'm serious. I watched some of the videos and the dedication. And, I'm also curious in a way because you still actually play the game. And, when you watch some of your players that you have, obviously in the women's team, the national team, we'll get into some of that in a few minutes and I'll say hello to people as well. But as a player for you, because you're still actually playing out there, you're playing in futsal, you played obviously semi-pro soccer. I'm curious as a player for you, like how does that maybe change or how the way you go about things?
um, it's it just makes me grateful every time that I play. And I feel like I've always been an advocate for women's soccer, availability to just play. And now I take that mission to amputee soccer, where I just want everybody living with an amputation or limb difference able to play and just know we exist. That's really the hardest part. Most of the time, people just don't know that we exist. And when I'm playing, I always spread this message. I'm like, guys, we have a place to play. We should be grateful. Like, let's not get our emotions so high. And I understand being competitive and wanting to play and wanting to win, but if we're playing at like a rec level and playing with friends or maybe in a local league, like, we got to just be grateful that we have this opportunity, because many people just don't. They don't. That's
No,
what I think when I'm a player.
absolutely, no question about that. I know you've had your own struggles as a player and injuries, but I still wanted to bring that. Let me say hello to a few people. How you doing there, sir? He says, "Let's go, Paige." I probably should have did that, but I don't think I remember that. There's probably a few things I actually missed anyway in that introduction of you, but certainly I'll let Dennis do that long
Hi,
intro of you.
Dennis.
How you doing there, sir? Thank you for tuning in here. My buddy Ron Franklin. Ron's an analyst on my regular Friday sports shows. Ron was telling me how excited he was to be a part of Sportswire Radio. And thank you, Ron, for tuning in. I want to say hello to our good friend out there, Jules. Jules is out there in NYC. Good evening, Paige and Tom. I've heard all of the amazing things that you do, Paige. It is quite impressive. I'm really looking forward to the show tonight. I am looking forward to it as well. I want to say hello to my guest out there in the state of Iowa. Speaking of hardcore, they call him the hardcore god of the IMF. He's going to be here on Sunday. He's Mr. Omen Black. No, he's giving you good news. He says, Paige, I see you're on my show because it is his platform. Well, it's technically his show. It's technically with his. I'm his host, and he says he wishes you well. So he's giving you some, good words. And I'm sure if there ever anybody that if you ever need an enforcer on the amputee team, this guy could pretty much fit the bill. Want to say hello to one of my buddies, Ethan Sorensen. Ethan, do you sleep now? I think he's in the UK, the other side of the world. Every time I'm on Sportswire Radio, Ethan's here with us. I want to say hello also to our third member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, one half of the XCW Tag Team Champions. Now, hold off on this page because this gentleman, Mr. Justin Parsley, is actually feuding with this individual, Mr. Omen Black. They're actually going to be in a ring in about a month or so from now. XCW's Encounters episode 11. In fact, Omen's the seventh member of our Hall of Fame, but he actually does say hello, though. So we'll let you stay out of that stuff between Justin and Omen. We'll let you move away from that. But, I was curious here. And you talked about kind of the recruiting. You talked about how when you started recruiting, you were at 4 players. Now you're at 12. And I'm always fascinated by it. I know Jason very well. I know Jeff well. I've had a number of different college coaches in basketball and soccer over the years. And what is the recruiting process like? I mean, how do you find players? Do you look at scouting? Do you tapes? I mean, tape trade, if that's such a thing. I don't know how do you go? No, it's a serious question. How do you actually recruit to get the best players that you have so we can see you guys in the World Cup, at least for the national team? Talk to me about that experience of recruiting.
So it is it goes in all different directions. It is nothing like college coaching. So that has to be totally thrown out. It's no comparison.
Oh, I know. I know college recruiting. Yeah. That I know very well.
So it comes half the time with knowing your resources, different prosthetic offices, different PTs that you can reach out to. Sometimes it comes with just honestly being a creep on social media and being like, hey, I see you're missing a leg. Want to come try and play soccer?
Really? You're just that upfront, coach. I was expecting like a very PC. I would have said something like that on Sportswire because, we deal with thumbtacks. We deal with ladders. We deal with chairs. We deal with barbed wire. We deal with pizza cut. I mean, we do that stuff, the real creepy stuff that I'm sure a lot of the U.S. coaches you're aligned with be like, going on here. We deal with that stuff here in Sportswire. I'm kind of impressed that you actually said you're kind of doing some of the creepy things that we this platform.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do for the states. The states got to thrive. So, but we also have regional teams all across the country. We have a team in New York. We have a team in New England. We have a team in California. We're building in Florida. We're building in Chicago. We have a team in Columbus. We're building in Colorado. And what those teams do is that they really do a lot of outreach in their local areas to say, hey, come try amputee soccer, come to one of our practices. And if they're interested in taking the next step to the national level, they will connect them with myself or the previous coach of the men's team, Coach Lamberg. And we, get them started. But the whole idea is anybody living with amputation in the States, we want to provide access, and we will do anything and everything that we possibly can to provide access, because it's not just about playing a sport, it's changing their whole life. So if we can do that, even if it's just one person, whatever, come on down.
No question about that. I'm going to actually get to some of the plugs here in a second. Also, maybe I should read this off because Omen kind of says here, what do I have to do to make, I guess, those bleed on the field to help you guys win? It's kind of his running joke there. I will actually let this question come up first. I was going to ask this to you later on the show, but Ethan actually has a great question. And I know we're going to talk about some of these things in a second. I'll talk about some of the other jobs that you have, but what is your goals for 2024 generally?
My goal?
What are your goals?
My goal is that the Women's Amputee World Cup is being held in November of 2024 in Colombia. I have no other expectation than the United States winning that whole thing, period. That is the goal. We're going to make it happen. I truly believe in our team. I believe in our organization. I believe in everything that our team, organization, players can do to win this thing. I think it'll be great not only for them but just amputee soccer in the future in the United States. That is the goal. Period.
We're going to certainly see, and I have no doubt that we're going to do that. But I actually, before we do anything else, want to give a big plug here, especially on behalf of Coach Palazzolo and all the great things. Coach, I'm so glad I got your name right, because when I did the intro last night with Coach Greg Drizel, I was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't get her name right. I should have asked her, but thankfully I was able to practice that
You
several
and
times.
every other person that I know can never, like, you know. And
But I
when
took
you
the
first met me,
I got you.
you
But
got it now. You got it
I
now. You even got it with the accent a little bit. It's you know.
Well,
Keep going.
I grew up in Brooklyn. I mean, listen, I grew up in Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst, so that's basically I had a
You
lot
know.
of names like
You know.
yours, so I definitely know. So, but if you want to follow Coach Palazzolo, you got a whole list of ways to do so. But most importantly, if you want to check out information on the U.S. amputee soccer teams, usampsoccer.org, and also Facebook, U.S. Amputee Soccer. I promise you, we really want to help out here, and we really want to support those that are out there in our communities, making a difference, going out there and giving people an opportunity that would not have, and getting out to live their dreams. This is somebody that we want to support. You make sure you support Coach Palazzo on all those platforms, and also check her out also with the Loyal and Futsal Academy, Queens College, the night soccer team, women's team had their best season in a long time. We spoke about that in the introduction. We will definitely get to all of that here shortly. But my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. We are here in a special presentation. We are very honored to have here Coach Paige Palazzolo here to talk all things related about her decorated journey. You know, Coach, I was wondering here, and it says going back to your playing days in a second, which we'll definitely talk about more in a little while, but you went through a deliberating injury that, you know, we've actually, a lot of my wrestlers have had, which is a herniated disc. Now, a herniated disc is a very painful injury. I mean, it's almost like double what a pinched nerve would be. And to have a herniated disc and to be able to do what you do, in a way, it kind of tied to where you are today and all these great things that you do. And so I was curious for the audience in two things: how that led you to where you are, but also in how you dealt with the injury. Because I do have a lot of wrestlers that'll watch this or certainly support the platform here on Sportswire. And back injuries are unfortunately a common theme here in the world of wrestling, especially herniated disc and pinched nerves. And I was curious, just how did you deal with that injury and how did it lead you to where you are today?
Oh my gosh, this was such a major part of my life that feels so long ago, but it really wasn't. But I was actually in an accident playing soccer. That's how
Oh my
my
God.
yeah, two discs were herniated. Somebody, it was in a co-ed game, came up from behind me and just threw his knee into my back, and that was it. Herniated two of my discs, and you know, I woke up the next day and I felt like a like pain in my lower back, but it wasn't so bad. And then, you know, weeks gone by and I was looking up online. I'm like, oh, I might have a herniated disc, doing some exercises to try and alleviate that pain. And it wasn't really working. So I was going to doctors and I got an MRI and they're like, you have L4, L5, two major herniated
Oh
discs.
my God.
Yeah, it was bad. But then it came to the point, um, as I was doing all these natural methods, like dropping thousands of dollars on any natural method I possibly could do for my back to avoid surgery, because I just had a fear of back surgery being so young at the time. So I did every natural method I possibly could, but then I was getting epidural shots in my back.
Oh my God.
And then I woke up one day and I was in excruciating pain.
I
And
could
then,
imagine. You said like L4, L5. I mean, those are some like,
yeah,
really bad things.
I woke up one day. I'll never forget this. I woke up and I couldn't walk. I couldn't bear any weight on my left leg. So my two
Oof.
friends drove me to my pain management doctor, who gave me the epidural shot. And then I'm like, all right, like finally feeling some relief. Woke up the next day, the pain was back. The
Oh my God.
epidural shots stopped working after getting
Wow.
them for about like a year and a half. So I ended up having emergency surgery to repair the discs in my back. And they found that when they did the surgery, my L5 disc, the part that broke off, shattered. So that
Oh my
was
God.
what was causing me
And
so much
this happened just while playing? I mean, That's not a common injury in soccer to that level, right? To that bad you have.
No,
'Cause I know injuries, but that's not something I've heard often in there, coach.
I unfortunately have this. I mean, not unfortunately completely, but when it comes to injuries, I have this mindset where it's like play through the pain, no game. Like,
Well, I mean, you are the home of that here on Sportswire. We are legitimately the home of that. We've had on, what, 500 wrestlers over the past 3 or 4 years, and I would guarantee you that about 499 of them have some type of injury that they have to work through. So you're in
exactly.
the right place, coach.
Exactly. So I agree with the the resignation. I feel better, but I kept playing. That was the thing, also. So I think I was honestly making it a little bit worse while trying to rehab it. I went to like a chiropractor who would put me on this machine and stretch my spine every week. Dr. Dylan Kennel,
Wow.
and he kept me going. Like this
Yeah,
definitely maintained me while I was trying to play and practice and get better.
sure.
But ultimately, I needed emergency surgery and I got that and it was life changing because all of a sudden the pain was gone and I was just so taken back because I'm like I forgot what it felt like to not live in pain every day. My friends would always make fun of me, like even before I would play, they would have me on the ground and pull my leg in order to relieve some spine pressure and some pain, and then I would pop the Advil. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, let's play. I got like
Just
30
all of
minutes
a
before I'm
sudden but all of a sudden, correct me if I'm wrong, coach, you go from one doctor to another, and it was like almost like a Rice Krispies treat. Snap, crackle, and pop. You're good to go. I'm finding that fascinating.
snap, crackle, and pop, baby. You gotta do what you gotta do. But it came to an end, unfortunately, where and it just gave out. It just gave out, and I didn't have the choice. So I went, got emergency surgery, and I had asked the doctor maybe three months after surgery.
Yeah.
I still had some weird pain where I couldn't like stretch or touch my toes still. So I'm like, I'm an athlete. Like, we got to fix this. Like,
Right, because
we
you're used to playing. Your body, is not used to sitting idle. You need to have movement. You need to go out there and do something. I get it.
exactly. So he referred me to a physical therapist who specifically worked with athletes at True Sport Care in St. James on Long Island.
Where you're from? Yeah, I know St. James.
Yeah. And that doctor was Dr. James Pierre Glaude, JPG. And he is the like everything of amputee soccer. He is the medical director. He does the finance. He does the travel agent stuff. He does the budget. Runs board meetings. He does everything.
Sure.
So while he was rehabbing me, he was getting to know me, and he said, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh well, I'm a social worker at my school district, and then on top of that, I'm a goalkeeper trainer for Long Island Goalkeeper Academy. And he's like, goalkeeper trainer. He's like, well, I'm the medical director for the American Amputee Soccer Association. How would you go about training an amputee goalkeeper? They have one arm. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm like,
Is it
all
real?
right,
Is
like,
it real? Are you sure?
that today.
Are you pulling one on me? Are you pulling
Literally,
an April Fool's joke on me, coach? Probably your first thoughts were.
like actually. So I was thinking about it and I'm like, well, they have two legs, right? And he's like, yeah, they got two legs, but just one arm. I said, well, I'm a futsal goalkeeper, and futsal goalkeepers make leg saves, specific kinds of leg saves. So I think I would incorporate that with soccer training and do that combination in order to train amputee goalkeepers. And he's like, huh, that's interesting. So then he goes back, and I guess he talks to Eric Lamberg, the president of the American Amputee Soccer
Stony Brook
Association.
guy, if I'm not mistaken, right?
What happened? I'm sorry?
Stony Brook guy.
Yes, both Stony Brook guys.
Yep.
So he talks to him, and then the next time I went to physical therapy, Dr. JPG, he says to me, he goes, the American Amputee Soccer Association is having a camp in Boston. I think it was in August, and he said, do you want to come down and try and train our goalkeepers? And I was like,
Oh,
wow. Well, without question, yes. Absolutely. But then after I left, I was like, oh my God, what did I just agree to? Like, I just said yes to training goalkeepers with one arm. How the heck am I going to do that? So there was a lot of preparation. I had friends come down. I had them dummy drills where they would tape one arm to themselves. I'm like, you do the left arm, you do the right arm. And I was practicing these drills and figuring it out. And, I went to the camp, had an amazing time. It was way easier than I thought it was going to be. And that is how my deliberating injury led me to this
Wow.
path today.
That's a really, really unique story. I have a lot of questions on that, but I want to get to actually a good comment from Omen Black, and I promise you it's a good comment. What are the struggles that you deal with in being in the position that you're in? Is it more of a physical challenge to help your team, or is it some sort of mentality hurdle to boost their confidence? That's actually a really great question there. Like, talk to me about that.
So I am very lucky to have this group of players. This
Yeah.
group of players, not only are they so self motivated, but they keep each other accountable. I feel like sometimes I don't even have to intervene on doing the hard work and going over hurdles because they look out for each other. They're like, hey, no, this is how I overcame this, or this is how I'm doing this. I feel like that's sometimes hardest part of coach where you're like, hey, like you need to pick up the slack. No, they tell each other to pick up the
Wow.
slack. And it's quite impressive to see. And that's where I go to other teams and they're training and I see a kid not putting in full effort. I'm like, yo,
That was going to be my question to you. When you go to like Queens College, when you're coaching these college soccer players, and you're at a legitimately big time program there, like the ego there, I mean, it has to put it in check for them because of the stories you tell them. So I would have to think that maybe when you tell them to do something, you tell them to do a drill or something, they might want to listen more. I would think, what do I know though? Right? I don't know much, but maybe you could tell us.
well, I tell them what I do, and they're like, "No way, really?" I was like, "No, I'm telling you, these men and women, like they play on crutches, and they're ballers. Like they'll beat you. Like you need to go run. Like pass your fitness tests and go run. Go keep it up because they will beat you. Like I think Nico Calabria, he is the captain of the men's amputee soccer team. He runs like a 7-minute mile on crutches.
Oh my God!
That's what
Wow!
I'm saying. I'm like,
Wow!
here are some people who don't have a leg and they're still killing you on fitness. Talk about go use your blessings and get to work. That's why
Wow!
I don't have tolerance for that kind of stuff.
No, and you know what? I would certainly. That's why we didn't want to have any tolerance of being late, coach, and not getting your name right. We wanted to make sure because you'll certainly tell us. But obviously, in sports there are some stories. I mean, Jim Abbott had one arm practically. There was a wrestler about 20 years ago, Zach Gowen, who I believe had one leg, but nothing to what your players go through. That's why I really want to talk about that. And I want to certainly come back to some other things here. But Omen had a kind of a funny one. You probably appreciate this. From your injury, basically, he says that you can have his championship anytime, and you are the hardcore. You are the true hardcore guy. That's why I told you you were more hardcore than some of our wrestlers. We have guys come on here and they put their bodies through all these things, Omen included, tables. They put their bodies through thumbtacks. Listen, one guy actually had a syringe put through his lip. But what you go through, what your players go through, it really pales into comparison to those things. But it's really the truth. But what the players go through, and watching that, I mean, I have such a respect for all your players for what they go through to want to continue to live their dreams. And here's another reason why, and I have a lot more respect for it. Here is the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, your voice of all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce. You guys don't get paid. Everybody thinks, oh, the U.S. team, like the dream team in the NBA, the women's soccer teams, and, get these promotion deals. We get all this money, and you guys are doing it really on your own dime, and you're doing it for basically nothing. And I think that shows the dedication that not only your staff has, but all of your players.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate right now that we don't have that financial security. But on top of just being an organization that wants to provide the opportunity for them to play, a large part of our job is fundraising. We're a non-for-profit 501c3, so we rely entirely on donations and on grants. So we have to be very careful with our spending and be very budget conscious. And that is another hurdle when it comes to just providing access of the sport. So I feel like sometimes it's like I'm half like a financial like like bringing in these funds. Here's what we can do, this fundraiser, this and that. And then, but at the same time, I'm like, wait, I'm a coach. But it's cool. Like, it brings another perspective to the players where it's like, they're very, very grateful. And they have a lot of the players, they have no problem fundraising whatsoever. And, it's just, it's awesome. It's awesome.
And it's definitely awesome. And I want people to get involved and help out Coach Palazzolo and all the great people that are involved here in the United States Amputee Association, whether it's the men's team, the national team, the women's team. You can do that here very simply at usampsoccer.org. Go check them out on Facebook, US Amputee Soccer. You can also follow Coach Palazzolo here, Coach Paige PK, Paige Pal. Also on Instagram, US Amputee Soccer, LI Futsal Academy, and Queens College, the women's soccer team, the Knights, QW Soccer. We're going to definitely get to them in a few minutes for sure, but all those platforms here, please, especially for the amputee teams, especially for our men's and women's teams, because again, they go out there and they're not getting paid for this. They're going out there and they're traveling to places. The team was in Poland this past year. They're going to be in Colombia for the World Cup this year, and they're not doing this here for a paycheck. They're doing it because they love this game. They want to continue their dreams, and they're making a difference here. And Coach is somebody that's been here in our communities. Coach has been here for a fighter for our communities. Coach has made sure that she's been a leader for our communities. She's helping the people of today and tomorrow go out and make a difference. Let's support those who support us here in our great communities. That is Coach Paige Palazzolo. Please support her here and everything that she does here, along with the United States Amputee Soccer Team. She's also on the board of directors of the American Amputee Soccer Association. Please go out there and support. Yes, Victor, thank you for that. But we said she's professional, but we are on Sportswire. We certainly try to, if you want to talk about tables, ladders, and chairs and death matches, we'll certainly leave about the fact that Coach might be beautiful, because Coach will kick butt out there. So we will certainly not say those things on Sportswire, because we are certainly, because we actually could get, in trouble with that, because we actually do, we could make sure. If anybody says you're too beautiful, we have, Omen Black. We got a lot of.
I need Omen like now. Actually, my connection to wrestling, I do have a connection to wrestling.
I would love to hear that, because we have so. If you love to, I would love to hear this, because this is something
I'm not going to lie. I'm not very in depth with wrestling. However, I did graduate with Dewey Foley, Mick Foley's son.
Absolutely, yes, Dooley. What a small world. Yes, Dooley, who I think was it Dewey that was a writer briefly for WWE. Somebody one of his sons.
Dewey's the writer, and then I'm friends with Noel as well.
Well, Noel, everybody's got, different things for different reasons. They certainly would like to, have other opinions other than her wrestling abilities or lack of that. But I'm going to plead the fifth on those things here, because we're on Sportswire Radio. We are always professional here, because my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters here. But if you want to support us here on Sportswire, and all the wrestlers are coming in now because they heard Noel Foley. They heard, Noel Foley. Oh, Noel Foley now. But slow down there, guys. Slow down there. Slow your rolls here on Sports. I'm only kidding. We love the guys here on Sportswire. But if you want to check out our past, present, and future shows, and you like what you hear from Coach Palazzolo, that's my YouTube channel. And also, I have an internet radio station. And if you want to have your favorite music being played, you have a podcast out there you suggest, maybe the one that Coach was on last month, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportswireradio.org. We also have a blog out there where we write about different things like Coach Palazzolo here. Tumblr at Sportswire Radio. And Coach, obviously it's a great honor to have you on Sportswire Radio, but in a little while, we've actually have something on your behalf that we'd like to present to you on behalf of Sportswire Radio. I think you'll certainly appreciate this. Definitely, no, it's not like flowers, roses, not that stuff. It's actually something that I think that will show and honor the work that you've done here on behalf of our communities. And I want to thank Jason Facino one more time for giving us this amazing opportunity to kind of take a break from the tables, the ladders, the chairs, the hardcore, the death matches, and all that stuff, and speak with you. And again, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I do have some more comments. People do want to talk to you. I actually want to say hello to another female who does a great job. She does a lot better announcing than me. She is the ring announcer for our friends over at XCW, of course, the gold standard of semi-pro wrestling and beyond in Indiana. Is Trinity Parker, a.k.a. Ashley Miller. How you doing there? My very good friend there, Trinity. Trinity's going to be back on the platform here next month. And Justin Parsley had a funny one here about Dewey, that he'll cane Dewey, because it was kind of a funny line here. But also, interesting fact, Mick Foley was born in Bloomington, Indiana. Justin and Ashley and many others are from Shelbyville, Indiana, and those surrounding areas. And although Mick Foley went out to be born and really grew up in Long Island, but the facts are he was born in Bloomington, Indiana. So thank you, Justin, for those great facts. That's why Justin is a Hall of Famer, and they're going back and forth. But I'll hold off on that for a second. But I wanted to talk to you about the experience of going to Poland. It's fascinating to me. And I'm sure you hadn't been to Poland before. And I was curious for the audience because people, hearing about you, they're very fascinated. What that experience was like in September, going into Poland on behalf of the team, and just talk to me about that journey and what did that mean?
Oh my gosh, I had so many emotions for Poland.
Did you have kielbasas? Did you have the sausages, the Polish food that they famously talk about all the time?
Yo, all the pierogies,
Yeah.
fire. It's as good as you can imagine. Like they got breakfast pierogies,
Oh my
dinner
God.
pierogies, lunch pierogies, like everything under the sun. Like I dream about it still. They were
Maybe
so
you
good.
might be Polish instead of Italian, I would
I
think.
am part Polish. I'm like a slight percentage of Polish, actually.
Okay.
So I think
Okay.
that's my connection to my pierogies. I got my connection to wrestling.
Okay.
I got my connection to
All
pierogies.
right. That's good. All right. So let's talk about Poland. Talk to me about that experience over there.
Poland was incredible. Um, I did not expect Poland to be what it was. We went there only knowing 6 of our players. We met 2 of them there.
Wow.
So here again, being a creep. Ready? 2 women. Hey, I know you've never met us, and I know there are no more camps that you're able to come to and play or try amputee soccer, but want to come with us to Poland to play a game and represent the United States? That's actually how it was for 2 of our players, Elena and Melissa. They had never met us before.
Wow.
They went all the way to Poland and they took the field and they played. They
How
had
do you,
never
how
even
do you
played
co- but how do you
soccer.
coach players like that? I mean, like how do you coach them if you haven't seen them, they haven't anything? I mean, what's that like? I mean, kind of silly question.
Technology is a beautiful thing. Say that technology is a beautiful thing. I'm very thankful. The only good thing that came out of COVID was that technology was taken up a notch and people respected really doing work virtually. So
Sure.
a lot of our players, for the most part, are trained either regionally with their regional teams or virtually through resources that we provide.
Well,
Whether
with the colleges, that I knew that there was a lot of virtual stuff. With Jason, I just tell you with Jason real quick. I know Jason and certainly some of the teams at Five Towns, they had a lot of that Zoom meetings, a lot of that. So at least you had that. So I could see that because I knew a lot from COVID as everybody was waiting to come back. At some point, there was still a lot of that, WhatsApp as well. If you have WhatsApp, there's a lot of WhatsApp stuff. So that made. Are you there, Coach?
Oh, yep, I hear you now.
Yeah.
You cut out a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, it could be my Wi-Fi. So I could see that the Zoom and all those other technologies helped virtually in sort of coordinating what to do.
Yeah, it's a powerful tool. Just with Zoom and Google Meets, these 2 ladies who, again, never met us at all, they were able to feel so connected that they took the risk and went all the way to Poland without meeting us. So very thankful for technology, very thankful for, just being able to connect with these women to create not only a team, but just an amazing community. And they killed it in Poland, like beyond expectations. I honestly was not shocked. I totally believed in our team, but again, we're fielding a team of 7 players, and we have 2 that had never played soccer before and had just met us. And
Oh wow!
the women before that, some of them, we had one player, LaQuinta Hayes, Q Hayes. She had been in a wheelchair, and her first time ever using crutches was with us in May. Like she had just learned how to walk on crutches.
Wow!
Yeah, like
Wow!
like the barriers that we faced in order to get to Poland, like our players alone just learning the game.
What's the flight? What's the how long does it take to get there from New York? Kind of silly question, but
I think
what's
it's
the
about
flight
like
time?
8 hours, 8 or 9 hours.
Oh, that's not bad. I would have thought like
Not bad.
20 hours or something like that. 3 connections. I mean, what do I know, right? I'm just a knucklehead here from New York City, but wow, that's not bad at all. 8 hours then. And
No, it wasn't bad.
what's the time difference?
I think it's like 8 hours, around that, 8 or 9
Okay.
hours. Yeah,
That's not bad.
it was different. So that's why whenever we go play internationally, especially in Europe, We always go 1 or 2 days before competition because you just got to adapt to that time.
Yeah, I've heard that. I knew from the
Yeah.
wrestlers. We've had some wrestlers from the States go over to the UK. That I kind of knew. So you have an experience that's very successful. And I'll get to comments in a second. I promise we have some more comments. People seem to like it tonight. I think it's my video that worked, that where I was talking about trying to play soccer. I was certainly
You
making
hyped it
sure.
up. This is all your work.
Well, I'm known to do those things, but I'll leave that for the side. But in terms of, let's say, building off this with that experience, first time out, well, obviously we're going to be in Colombia, right, in November, which we spoke about. How do you build on this experience where you had all this success? Talk to me how you continue this momentum.
So Poland really started a bigger momentum that, I expected, but not when I say this, the whole picture, like
Yeah.
not just spreading the sport, but the mentality of our team totally changed. Like we went and played against Poland. We only lost 1-0. That's great because that team had been practicing every other week for almost 2 years.
Oh
We
my
had
God.
we had never taken the field as a team before. And shout out to the Poland's women's team, though. They were amazing. We were so inspired by the way that they played that, again, our team just looked at them and was like, we're going to be like that. But now there's the competitive edge where they're like, we want to be better than that. So it has sparked not only just amputee soccer in the United States, but all over the world, to the point where now there's a World Cup where all these women's teams can compete against each other. And it just started with this one game. The first
That's pretty
ever
cool. That's pretty cool, though. You think about that, right? How one game, one person
one game.
can make that much of a difference. I mean, that's certainly got to give you guys a lot of motivation and a lot of almost like character. That's a character builder thing that, you go out there, you play this game, you had two players you didn't even know what they started. And you have them now, all of a sudden you're representing the United States of America. You're not just representing Long Island. You're not just representing Iowa, Indiana, Michigan. You're representing 300 and I guess was it 20 million people at this point. I think that's a pretty big thing to be proud of for the players. I mean, what did you say to the players after this whole unfold? After the game, what did you tell them? Did you guys all know this was going to be a monumental, a special kind of moment?
Yeah, we did know it was going to be monumental in the fact that we kept saying, you women are going to make history right now. Like, you're not
Yeah.
just playing a game, you're about to make history. Matter of fact, we have a woman on the team. Her name is Tracy Danzy. And when we approached her and asked her, hey, like, do you want to come to Poland, represent the United States? She had to talk about it with her family. And she goes to her son, she explained the opportunity. And he goes, Mom, I think it would be disrespectful if you didn't go. And this is a kid. I'm like, I love him. I never met him, but I love him. So, we go, and it was not only just playing a game, but when the final whistle blew, you have
Mhm.
all the Poland women crying, our team crying, like, just from this whole experience. And again, I knew it was going to be big. I didn't know it was going to be so impactful the way it was. And I'm so lucky to have been part of that and really start the momentum, not for just the United States, but the entire world.
Which is a pretty cool thing. And let me say hello to a few other people. Ethan's got a story that I'm gonna really. I don't. We're not the Howard Stern show, Ethan. He's talking about Ghost here. I mean, that's the Howard Stern show. I may look like Howard Stern, but that's for Howard to ask. You can ask Howard that question on his show. He's on Sirius XM tomorrow. We're on Sportswire, Ethan. Trinity appreciated the story. Justin Parsley wants to say, fun fact, you should pass back, though, on February 29th, a once in every 4 years. Oh, he's talking about Omen Black. Okay. I want to say hello to our another champion out there, another world champion, who said he wants to start a soccer team. He's that much inspired by you, but maybe that'll be CJ Black and Omen's deal, Omen Black and CJ Black. They're not related, but they just have the same last name. But we'll see if they do that. Hopefully they have some success, for as much success as you. Let me talk to you about a few other coaches here before I move on to some local stuff, because I want to get that in the interest of time. Talk to me about Coach Maxwell, Emily Maxwell, and how important she's been in this process.
Oh my gosh. I say every time, she's the yin to my yang, and we shout yin yang. Like, that's just how we are. We are so similar in the goals that we want to achieve for this team, but at
Mhm.
the same time, we are so different. And that is why we are yin and yang. I am like I don't want to use the word headstrong, but I'm very just like point blank to the point, explain the big objectives and the picture. And then
Sure.
here's Emily, who's a little bit softer, who, says all the important details that I forget about. And we just bounce off each other all the time. I've coached really high level players and even now at the college level. And Emily has coached and played at a very high level. But she primarily works also with younger kids. So she has that like soft kind of different training perspective where I've worked with very advanced technical kids. So we are able to put that together and be able to just train at all different levels because of our different skill sets. So we it's just a match made in heaven, honestly, in a coaching world. And then on top of that, we have Coach Jason Evans, who's our technical trainer for the team. Now he is an amputee who played on the men's
Oh,
team.
wow.
He was on the men's team. He is nicknamed the dog because he's the dog.
But I
He
would think that would be good to have somebody that's actually an amputee that
absolutely
could relate to, because we do this all the time on sports, where you got to have a coach that either played or has some type of relatability. Obviously, I know you've played the game, you've been very successful. Coach Maxwell knows what she's doing, but it's always good to have somebody, I would think at least, that knows what kind of they go through in a day-to-day process. Because
totally.
you're a great coach, but you're still not going to know what they go through. You're not in their shoes. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even hide it. I say, listen, I will try my best to help you, but I am not you. But here's Jason, who's gone through it all. He's gone through the journey. He is not a congenital amputee. He lost his leg to cancer, so he knows the struggles and he's been through it. So he has learned to play soccer on one leg and understanding like, oh, different crutch positions and hand positions and the way you swing your body and the momentum with, if you're an above knee amputee or a below knee amputee, like I I can try when I see that stuff on paper, like these are the directions and this is what I'm going to try
Right.
and do.
Yeah, you're
No,
not gonna know. Listen, there's a lot of things about the game, but you're not gonna know these things. It's
no
just
shot.
you can't. Yeah,
I don't hide it. I'm like, I am not the best person for that type of training. It's Jason. It's
sure,
Jason. So
sure.
he is such a key part for our team. We're just like a awesome package, the three of us together. So I'm very, very lucky with the staff that we have. Every single person at AASA is incredible. Not only just on the women's side, but the organization itself, just incredible.
And I know you guys next week have something going on. You guys are doing some recruiting. Obviously, if you want to talk about that here for those that are listening and watching, obviously we can find out more information on the Facebook page at US Amputee Soccer. But tell us here, especially what's going on next weekend.
So next weekend, very exciting. We are having an identification camp for women in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a camp. We have a bunch of new players coming, but we also have some returning players coming. This is one of two camps that we will be holding before the national team tryout that will happen in May.
Oh, wow.
Both camps. It's definitely confirmed. Obviously, for next week, it's in New Jersey, but the second camp might be in New Jersey. We're really not sure. We're panning out details, but we have one camp that's definitely next weekend, and the next camp will be March 8th. March 8th,
Okay.
9th, and 10th. So
All right.
and that day, the reason why we chose that day, it's International Women's Day. So we will be collaborating with actually the European side on amputee football.
Oh, wow.
We will be doing some Zooms together and trying to do something with them. It's all in the works. But we're really excited for both camps, and then it's crunch time, baby. National team
That's
training.
very cool. That's very. I mean, it gets you kind of, I'm sure, right into game mode, because now you got this big recruitment thing coming up next weekend. Then you have one in March, and then May. It's like, okay, the whole national thing. So you're going to be really busy here. I'm going to get to some other things that you're involved in. So I mean, I almost have to ask you the silly question. I mean, do you not sleep? Do you not have any like downtime? I mean, people ask me, they say, oh well, all I do is see you on Sportswire and have other duties. But like you, literally, you're a social worker. You're obviously still involved in Queens College. We're going to get to that in a second. You're obviously got recruiting now for the national teams. I mean, I don't know how you do it, Coach.
I'm very blessed with my career. I have a job, I work in a school. There's a lot of time off. We have weeks of vacation, we have a summer
Oh, wow.
vacation. So the organization tries to work best with, that schedule. So I am able to do these things. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, with amputee soccer, like my phone is nonstop going off all day long in regards to planning. Like the planning for these things, like people don't even know. I'm on my laptop, my iPad, my phone every day doing
You'd
something.
probably rather be recruiting right now than being on Sportswire, I'm
I'm like,
sure.
okay, just got a DM from a player interested. Like I'm looking down here while I'm on here with you. Like it's great. It's great. It's great. I can definitely say, I don't compliment myself much, but I'm the ultimate multitasker. I will say that.
No, you got to be. No, listen, you got in your position, you most certainly have to be. And that's why, again, if you want to help out in any way possible, you want to donate, you want to do anything. I know that the store was up. It'll be up, I'm sure, later this year as well. But if there's anything you want to do to get involved and support this great cause, and I cannot stress this enough here as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, your voice of all wrestling, the Reverend Tom Bryce, where all wrestling matters. It's important to support those that go out there every day and help our communities, make a difference in our communities, fight for our communities. This is somebody here that fights for our communities. I can go on and on about Coach Paige Palazzolo, but I want you to go on to usampsoccer.org, US Amputee Soccer on Facebook. Go out, especially with those platforms, Instagram as well, US Amputee Soccer, and do whatever you can. Spread the word, follow, like, tell your friends. Get out there and help, because these people go out there and they do it from the goodness of their heart. They're not getting paid millions of dollars like you're going to see the dream team later this year, or you're going to see the U.S. soccer teams. No, they go out there and they have jobs, they have families, they have responsibilities, all different things in a bag of chips. That's why you want to go out there and support these people. They are making a difference. Like I said, I cannot stress this enough here. We support those that support us. Go support Coach Palazzolo. Coach, I got to ask you about some other things here, because I know I've only got so much time with you. But, Queens College, you actually did a really good job this year. Coach Paris, and I was thinking about it. The name's Coach Tom Paris. And actually, my uncle's last name is Paris, but certainly far nowhere near as successful as Coach Tom Paris. But I actually do have family. My mother actually was born as Paris, but that's a here nor there story. But the facts are, Coach Paris, what a decorated career he had outside of coming to Queens College. Certainly a Malloy guy like Jason Facina. By the way, Jason's tuning in. Jason says hello to us. Thank you, Coach Facina. But you guys really transformed the program like snap, crackle, and pop, making history. What a surprise. But you guys go out there, get to the ECCs for the first time. You get some big wins, St. Thomas Aquinas, Southern New Hampshire. That's a win that puts the program on the map. You have 3 players all conference. I mean, you got to talk about the season here. And, I know you're obviously doing 1,000 different things, and you were only there for so much, but talk about that season at Queens College for the women's Knights, getting into the ECCs for the first time in a decade.
This was a very transformational season for Queens. I mean, Coach Paris, I don't even know how he does it, but he brought in an incredible recruitment class, so many girls, and of great talent. And he did his thing. Like he was like, we're changing things up around here, and he did. He held all the girls to a standard, and really just transformed Queens College women's soccer. I was very thankful to be part of it. I was thankful to work with a coach that not only saw a goalkeeper trainer as an integral part of a program, but also wanted a woman on staff, because this is a women's team.
I would have thought that would have been Captain Obvious, duh. I mean, I don't know why,
well,
right?
some don't. Some don't. A lot of men's coaches, they're just like, I'm doing my thing and that's it. Like they're just, and that's fine. I respect that too. It is what it is. If that's what floats your boat. But
Right.
that's where, Coach Paris is different. Like he respects that these women.
I know. What player now you're going to sign next? That's kind of the running joke there. The player. What's the next player you're signing there with the ringtone there?
Who knows? Who knows? It's all secret. You'll see in the next season. You'll see.
I look forward to it.
But yeah, he did an amazing job with just transforming the program. And he's like, Paige, he goes, goalkeepers, you're in charge. Like you're doing everything. Just, I have no hold on that. It's all you. Even recruiting, that's all you. Everything's you. I said, all right, so I'm going to do my thing. And I did, and it was awesome. I was really lucky to work with kind of 2.5 goalkeepers. I say half because one was basically injured the whole season, unfortunately,
Yeah, yeah,
coming in.
yeah, deal.
That happens. But really great attitudes on all of them. They were a joy to work with. Um, they were great. They made the job very, very easy, and I looked forward to training them and going to the games. It was awesome. Really great experience.
No question about that. You come into a program that certainly struggled and go right off the bat. You're 500 in conference play. You get big wins against St. Thomas Aquinas, Southern New Hampshire. These are, powerhouses. You're hanging there with Malloy. I'm sure Coach Facina was disappointed about that because he certainly wanted the big Malloy wins. But you guys hung in there for sure. And you also had three all conference players: Julia Ragone, Sarah Anderson. Sarah Anderson just does a phenomenal job. She was almost like your iron person. You might Iron Woman, you want to call it. You would say Iron Man in baseball, but Iron Woman in soccer. And Anna Tavares. I mean, Julia was all over the place for you. Sarah played, I feel like, almost like every minute, and Anna was right there. Also had some big moments. And just talk to me about those three players very quickly and why they were so important to the team's success. Again, getting back to the postseason here.
Those three players, absolutely key. Monsters. Julia and Sarah are captains, and then Anna was an incoming freshman.
Yeah, for a freshman to be all conference is like unheard of at this level.
Rock star. Their mentality was just amazing. They wanted it. That was the difference. Like all the players wanted to win, but they outrightly made it known and shown they wanted it. When we were like this team this year, a lot of the time we went down early, but always came back. We never gave up a game. That's never what it was. Sometimes it was an unlucky goal. A lot of times we get scored on in set plays, unfortunately. It is what it is. There's always got to be a winner and a loser. So, but those three, again, like the amputees keeping each other accountable, they kept those girls accountable. Julia, I just remember being in the locker room. She's like, guys, enough of this. We are better than this. We're not okay. We need to get our crap together and get up on that field and fix this. This is unacceptable. And I was just behind her. I was like, yeah. What she said.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. She has that mentality. She had that mentality. Sarah's one of the best defenders I've ever seen. She is just she killed
it.
Yeah,
we spoke a lot about that position. That's a really important position there. That really kind of holds the glue to the team almost.
Yeah, and with Sarah, it was a different season for her as well because we had a different kind of goalkeeper this year. We had Erin Kelly, amazing. I don't even know how tall she was, 5'11", 6 foot, around that. Who was boisterous, aggressive, athletic, and Sarah was kind of used to always taking the command back there 100%.
Sure.
But now here you have a confident goalkeeper that can take some of that responsibility away, and it gave Sarah the ability to play the game and focus more on the game and her position. So she did an amazing job. She was the lifesaver. She was the life insurance for the team, no doubt. She was life insurance. So incredible job. Anna, she's just like magic at the feet. She just would do all these things, and it's whoa, just unheard of. She was able to just connect well, really, with all of the girls. Her ability to just see the game before a pass or a play even happened. She created so many opportunities, and so for her to be a freshman and accomplish that, I'm excited for her future at Queens College.
Oh, absolutely, no question about that. If you want to follow the Knights, very simple there. QW Soccer, very simple. Get in touch with the program. Before I ask you a question on building off the season, I want to say to somebody out there in the UK, and I'm pretty sure you've been to the UK and played in the UK, my very good buddy, another actual hardcore champion. He's the Carnage hardcore champion, our friends over in CCW, Mr. Jam Dog himself. Jam Dog was in your chair Tuesday. You're here in his chair Thursday. He says hello. And what is he doing up? It's 2:40 in the morning in England. So I'm surprised he's even up. But, he loves Sportswire so much, and we can't blame him. That's why he's here with us. And thank you for tuning in there for us. But I was curious, and you have this season, right? Probably better than expected. I know you're going to tell me, though, we were going to have this season anyway. We were going to be in the playoffs. I got all that. But I'm curious, though, in a season like this, you get to the postseason for the first time in 10 years. You still have this core of players here, most of them coming back next season. How do you build off this? I mean, what are you and certainly Coach Paris and, Coach Sordo, Coach Osorio, what are you guys all doing to build on this season?
I think just, Coach Tom Paris's expectations are very high. He kept these girls at a standard all season.
Mm,
Like from even just being like a minute late to a meeting. Like the standard is set and it's there, and
mm.
he truly like believes in this team, in this program to just take off. And he's going to do it. He's going to do it. And from this season again, it was a different season for us. It's only going to build momentum, and the fact that this was the transformational season with all of these freshmen, now this group of freshmen is there for the next 4 years and understands this is the face of the program. The other players obviously really great, but they had the old standard. Here is the largest recruiting class that they've had in a really long time, and they understand the new standard. So they're going to be able to hold even more girls accountable, and we're just off to a winning road.
Oh, no question about that. And again, to have done what you guys have done in a short amount of time is extremely impressive. And we're very excited about the season. As crazy as it sounds, we're only about 7.5 months away from you guys all getting together and train again. And obviously for the season to start. So that's actually a really, really important part. And listen, I know it's cold right now in New York, but in August, it'll come not too far from now. And we'll certainly look forward. Yeah, no, we're going to get this. One day at a time. We gain 1 minute of light each day. Always look at things and the glass half full. A lot of people want to look at glass half empty, but I say every day we get one step closer.
You're
One step
right.
closer. So we get one step closer. So it's one moment. We're actually now officially starting tomorrow. A quarter of winter is in the books. So that means we're getting there. We're going to get there. Going to see you on the field coaching, kicking some butt. Going to see the players and all the teams here. And I wanted to bring up something that you run, which I think is also important to note here in the second half of the show, is you run the Long Island Futsal Academy. Now, talk to me about that. Also, talk to me, how does that help you in all the different roles? Because, futsal is such a really, really intriguing thing. And in fact, I know Jason and Jeff have a futsal thing coming up. If I'm not mistaken, they can correct me on this. I think it's either going to be this weekend or next weekend that they have one of their own. And kind of talk to me about what you do in your other role here as the head of the Long Island Futsal Academy.
So I'm one of the head coaches.
Okay.
The owner and head of the program is Chris Sanders.
I knew you were
Awesome
the head
guy.
coach. That's why I referred to you as the head. That's what I knew.
Yeah, I'm one of the head coaches. It's awesome. I love his program, what he does for futsal on Long Island, because there is really no futsal on Long Island.
Yeah, I feel like it's something. I mean, Jason's brought it up over the last couple of years because what happens is we get Jason on after this because Jason, I'm sure you know this, is very superstitious. Like he doesn't want to do these in the season. He wants to wait till the very last minute. And then we usually, I think it's the second, and Jason can quote me on this, it's the second or third year in a row we've actually plugged these. And I know we're actually doing them this weekend and next weekend. But yeah, it's actually become a big thing because I didn't know futsal really had a following on Long Island until the last, few years, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't even know when it started getting any following. I really don't.
I was trying
Like,
to be kind.
yeah, no. be- It's just the way it is. Um, you know, I'm very thankful that Chris runs this program and created this program for Long Island, because I didn't have like access to futsal when I was younger. Not at all. I remember I did a futsal league when I was younger. I definitely remember that they did not follow futsal rules. It was more like indoor soccer. Um, so the fact that these kids now, in combination with Chris Sanders' Long Island Futsal Academy
Which has
and
been
John,
around since 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, 2016 is when it was founded.
Yep. That I
So in
know.
combination with his academy, and then on top of that, John Braca, who runs Long Island Futsal League, you got all like 100 teams playing futsal with futsal rules, and I'm like, this is it. Like now we're starting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Maybe it's not the most advanced futsal like now, but whatever. It's a start. These kids now, it's like, I didn't learn until I started playing under my coach, Coach Tony Terrell of New York, Ecuador. Receiving a ball, you receive it with the sole of your foot. And that was like a foreign concept to me. I'm like, why
Wow.
why would
Okay.
you do that? And they're like, Paige, the ball's smaller and it's heavier, it's gonna bounce off. I was like, oh
Wow.
yeah, that kind of makes sense. Now I have kids here who are 6 years old, some 5, even I have one 4-year old, and they're learning a soul roll. Like something
Wow.
just that simple. Like, it's a start. It's a start in a direction that's really positive to build that sport because futsal is so key to development if your thing is soccer. Even if your thing's not futsal, futsal helps anything with soccer in your technical training, your physical fitness, your game IQ, your ability to see the game. Like the benefits are just the list goes on. So the fact that Chris and on top of that, in combination of John Braca are just doing this, it's a really good step in the direction of futsal on Long Island.
Let me ask you a technical question. Now, again, I haven't played futsal, but my only other thing I can compare it to is I played baseball at a relatively okay level up until I was in high school. I remember we had baseball class in gym. I went to high school in Brooklyn, and I remember we played. Oh, it was kind of like we play sometimes. We couldn't go outside and play. We would play. It was almost like a wiffle ball kind of thing in the gym, in the basketball gym. So for the audience here, in a way, which kind of was sort of like baseball, but it was different in the sense because you were playing indoors, and obviously we didn't have a diamond. You didn't. It was a much almost like a really really super bandbox, but. Talk to me about the differences in futsal and soccer. I know you're as a goalkeeper coach. You talked a little bit earlier in the show about the leg movement. You talked about some of the stuff that you keep in coordination wise. But give me the importance of futsal and kind of the differences of soccer and how you use it to maybe help some of the players you have in all the different places that you're coaching in, coach.
So they are two, like, although they're similar in the soccer world, they're definitely two completely different sports in the way that
Mhm.
they're played.
Right.
When I had my team last week, they had their first game and they did not understand the concept of, okay, there's 4 field players, there's one goalie. You guys are going to run and give 150% effort, and then in 5 minutes you're coming off. And they're like, what? They're used to playing like full 40-minute halves. I'm like, you don't understand. Like you're running a lot more, you're switching a lot more, you're trading places a lot more. It's very fast and you're doing a lot of running. It's a lot. And you know, when they looked at me like I had like 10 heads. Like it's just it's a very different sport, but the benefits are just they don't stop. They don't stop. So it just elevates like a soccer player's game and from a goalkeeper's perspective, being, one myself, I could go on. Little short story. I was training all summer with Queensboro FC
Yeah,
and
you played a little bit for them a year prior, right? You played a little bit for them, and then this year you're playing for the New York Ecuador women's futsal team, where you mentioned Coach Terrell, where you've actually done a really really important job there, and maybe talk about that because that's an interesting that an interesting journey. Like I said, you really had this like fascinating journey. I mean, Coach, I don't know what else haven't you done? I mean, you probably could cure cancer at this point.
that would be great. I would love to do that. That's even better.
Well,
Um,
maybe, yeah,
but
good point.
so I was training with Queensboro FC, and I was always playing with New York Ecuador. New York Ecuador is my club team. Um, so I had been playing for them, and at the same time, I was training primarily though with Queensboro FC.
Okay.
Um, so New York Ecuador was invited to go play in Brazil in the Copa del Mundo.
Oh wow,
Um,
okay. That I've heard of that. That I've heard
yeah,
of.
2 years ago. And I was asked to go, and at the time, I was not in a good place to go.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, no, all is good now.
Okay.
But then turn of events happened. Tony had reached out saying that one of the goalies that was supposed to come kind of went like MIA. Can you come? And I was like, or if you'd like to come, there's a spot available. So I look and saw my passport was expired and the team was leaving in 10 days.
Oh
And
my
Tony's
god.
like, all right, I guess you're not going. I said, no, I am. Called the passport center, flew to Minneapolis, got my passport done in one day, flew on
Wow.
a plane back, and I'm like, no, I'm going. Let's go to Brazil. But
Wow.
then here's where I kicked myself in the butt, and
Uh-oh.
Tony preached this on me. even though I was training every single day as a goalkeeper for Queensborough FC, training as a goalkeeper in soccer is not the same as training futsal. And I learned that the hard way by getting scored on a million times by Stein, which is one of the best futsal women's clubs in the world. Got annihilated by them, but no, it was a good lesson to learn. It was a great lesson to learn
Why?
because you learn success through failure, period. And I would have never, and unfortunately for me also, the best way I learn is by making mistakes. And that allowed me to see, you know, playing as a goalkeeper in soccer, it is not the same as a futsal goalkeeper. Now I've totally dedicated myself to being a futsal goalkeeper. I don't train like high level competitive soccer anymore. My focus is completely futsal because the disciplines are just so completely different. The way they make saves, the way they make decisions, the way that they even organize a team when there's a set play or whatever it may be. It's just different. I could go on in like soccer IQ, but I know that's a lot of it's hard.
No, I mean, well, I mean, listen, Jason and Jeff have come on here every year. I mean, I've known Jason a while. I mean, I've had on the John Jay soccer coaches when Ritty Dowdy was there. Johnny Clooney's the head coach there now for the women's team. They've been very, so I know a little bit about the game, for sure. But I think then in general, summing it up, I think that futsal is a very important tool that I'm assuming you use for all the different players you have, certainly with the amputee teams, but I would even think also with the Queens College teams where you had all the success. So I think at the end of the day, some of the things you've learned here, again, whether it's with the Ecuador women's futsal team here in New York, certainly the Long Island Futsal Academy, all those things that you've actually learned with this, and obviously through Coach Tony, have kind of helped you in your day-to-day, many, many thousand hats you wear, Coach.
Oh, no doubt. I would not be the player or person I am today without Tony Terrell. He's taught me everything I knew or know. And, he kind of just had this day where he had all these women come down and said, hey, like, we're going to do a tryout. It's time to start a women's team. And I've been with him ever since, even, pre-COVID, through COVID, now. I've taken his amazing teachings and brought them to kids all over Long Island. And I'm just like happy that I can create that bridge where really the guy who is just an amazing, not only mentor, coach, professor at futsal, but just person, I can give those lessons to kids and spread his teaching. So that's really all due to him.
Definitely. And I want to give a big shout out to Tony and obviously everybody out there that does these great things. We've got another 20 or 25 minutes here with Coach Palazzolo. Obviously, we really, really thank you here for this opportunity. And we certainly want everybody to follow you here on all these different platforms. Coach US Amputee Soccer, QW Soccer, LI Futsal Academy on Instagram, US ampsoccer.org, Facebook, US Amputee Soccer. Please make sure you Coach Palazzolo on all the great things that she does here. She is definitely, again, I cannot stress it enough, somebody that is out there on behalf of our communities and making a difference here. Thank you, Coach Palazzolo, for all you do. I have something for you before I get to closing thoughts, but I do want to actually give a quick plug, obviously, to the Five-Town Sound men's and women's soccer teams because of the indoor futsal thing they have coming up here this week, in which you can find out more information on FTC men's soccer, FTC women's soccer. It's a great way to work on conditioning, movement, and foot skills. Obviously, you know a lot about that because you do a great job with that, and they're going to help out there. So if you go to Jason and Jeff's pages on Instagram, you can sign up there, get more information, go out there and be there with the guys. I mean, Jeff and Jason have done a phenomenal job in representing the programs. What Jason doesn't do at Five Towns, I have no idea. Maybe Jason will correct me on that, but Jason is really one of the premier coaches around. Jeff's got a great background, certainly in high school in Long Island. Definitely, I know you probably know him a little bit more from there, but he's had some great players he's brought onto the program recently, and this is a great way to kind of, again, test your skills, keep yourself in playing shape, go out there and get ready. Because like I said, we're in January now, but March and April's coming. We're not that far away. Like I said, every minute we get one more minute of light. So that means we're a quarter of the way through winter as of tomorrow. So go out there and make sure, if you can, sign up for those futsal academies if you're a prospective player. FTC men's soccer, FTC women's soccer. We are here for a little while longer with Coach Paige Palazzolo. I want to make sure I keep getting you in because I know I missed it a few times ago. So I want to make sure I always
for it. You got it.
I know that, but I do want to bring up in a way before I get to closing thoughts. I got to bring up Jason Facina and Jeff Footman. You got a funny story, anything funny, especially about Jason? You got anything funny you want to share for the audience? Because Jason's out there. He's definitely watching. He's definitely listening. I'm surprised he hasn't commented on here. But if you could, anything about Coach Facina that you might want to share for the audience?
I love Coach Facina. Him
And
and
you
I,
heard, by the way, he's a legendary softball player. By the way,
I didn't know that. He preaches to me about how Morelli's the
Corey. Yep.
gamer.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like I've heard it over and over and over again. Like he won't let it go. He's like, don't forget to say that Morelli is a Hall of Famer. I'm like, Jason, I know. Like, I know. But no, he's honestly he's awesome. He is very similar to me in our ideas of just providing opportunity to anybody that wants to play, no matter the circumstance. So that's where we really vibe in that kind of way, because I feel like him and I really have the same mission when it comes to soccer, where it's provide the opportunity first. Like anybody.
Yeah, I've had Coach Morelli on the show, and that's kind of a pretty accurate, I would say, statement on that. I mean, having him, I don't know him as well as Jason, but in the time I had him on here, I could kind of see that. That's a pretty fair description of him. Yeah, it makes sense.
Morelli's awesome. They're all awesome. It's such a great crew over there. I'm very thankful that I had met them this year. I'm very thankful that they collaborated with us for the New York Metro amputee soccer game, where they had their men's team come down and play.
I did see it on Instagram. I did see that. Yep, I did see that.
They brought the men's team and the women's team, had 2 amazing games. So I am very thankful for everybody over that program. And they're not just a soccer program. They just, they're doing a good thing over there.
The program there at Five Towns as a whole, whether it's Coach Facina, certainly Coach Litwin now on the women's side, and Coach Wells, although Facina and Wells, I would not want to be at the dinner table between those two there, but it's a different story for a different time. But Coach Morelli, Coach Glancing, obviously we know him. He certainly, has a background for himself, but they've done a phenomenal job there at the program. We always love everything related to Five Towns, and I want to thank Jason Facina again. All kidding aside, if it wasn't for Coach Facina, I wouldn't be speaking with you. And Coach Facina, of my 5 years on Sportzwire Radio, he has probably been number 1 or number 2 of my all-time supporters. I just wish he would have been a lot more humble in trying to accept being on the Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame, because we have this Hall of Fame, Coach. We put all these different people in. I'm going to certainly hold off a thought or two on that. But I do, before I get to something I want to give to you, Coach, in a second. As we're coming toward closing thoughts here, and Omen Black wants to ask me, how's the weather here in New York? It's actually not bad, believe it or not. We're supposed to get your weather in Iowa, I think, on Tuesday, but it's like 50 degrees. When I did my video today to kind of hype you up, it was like I had a T-shirt on, my Five Town shirt on.
Outside.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It's supposed to be 55 tomorrow. I'm excited about going to the Staten Island Mall. Speaking about goalkeepers, I'm going to see Jason Statham Beekeeper. He's going to do his own goalkeeping on IMAX on the Staten Island Mall. It's going to be 55 degrees on Friday. So, yeah, the weather's great here, although it's supposed to change, I think, by Monday. But, yeah, Omen, we wish we could give you some of our warm weather here and bring it to Iowa, because they had a horrible blizzard over there. The Midwest is getting slammed with this polar vortex, and I wish that the polar vortexes would go away so we can get nice weather in March and April and May, so we can just watch you and the amputee teams. But before I get into a few other things here, actually closing thoughts on something I want to give you before I forget. I know you've done a lot in your career. I know you've done a lot, obviously, coaching these amputee teams, playing, whether it's been semi-pro, whether it's futsal, whether it's running your own academy, the Queens College team. But I always ask this question to people that have come on here the first time on Sportzwire Radio. If there were 1 or 2 moments, Coach, in your career, could be playing, could be coaching, whatever else you've done, is there 1 or 2 moments that stand out most in your career so far?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I try to give I don't try to make every question a softball one, because Jason's a great softball player. If I did that, certainly he'd hit all of them out of the park. So I wanted to give you at least one question you think about.
I would say going to my first World Cup with the men's team, the men's national amputee soccer team in Turkey. That was like an eye opener to me in regards to the sport and where the future was going for our organization and the team. But that and Poland is like a tie for one of them, because Poland.
What was Turkey? What was Turkey like?
Oh my God, it was like incredible. He I mean, it was just, you have all these countries together. It was just like such a beautiful thing. All these countries together playing this game that we all love, and then at the same time, like, we're all staying at the same hotel. We're all taking the
Oh,
same buses. And just like the kindness that comes between like these two, like all these nations together, like it was just such a beautiful thing to see. And everyone's passion for amputee soccer, and everyone just looking at each other and just being like, this is why we do what we do. There's only one team that gets, or there's one organization or one country that gets paid, and it's in Turkey. They have a full running league,
oh wow.
and which is amazing. Like, I hope one day beyond my time that happens here, but it's just so, it was so amazing to just look at everybody and being like, this is the reason why we do what we do, and it's to do to provide this opportunity for men and women all over the globe. And it was just an experience I will never forget. And on top of that, with the staff from AASA, they're just amazing people, and having that trip under my belt with those people, and it was nothing I can ever put into words. It was amazing. Um, that's definitely one of them. I would say my second one, I kind of got to do two diebreakers for the other one too, but um, Tony had prepped me for, you know, I think it was around 2 years, and it was my first time ever playing like on a national team where U.S. Futsal put this national select team together, and I got to play against Argentina.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
it was it was just a moment I'll never forget. My first time ever, being a player and playing with the national anthem. And on top of that, I
Oh
had
wow.
my futsal academy kids there that were watching me. So it was just like, it was amazing. Like, it was very like I was so taken back. Like, I can't even put into the words of the experience. But between that, and then I got called up for the U.S. Soccer women's national futsal team camp this year. It was back in September, and I did the tryout. I played great. I had a really great time. Met some awesome futsal ballers from all over the country, and hoping to make that team. We'll see, but if not, I'm okay. That experience was amazing. So I'm very grateful for what futsal and soccer has just given me. And I kind of planned on, when I was in college, like, kind of just leaving soccer aside, but I believe everything happens for a reason, and I'm on this crazy road, and I don't see myself stopping very soon.
Well, I hope you don't stop. I hope that you certainly get a chance to play nationally for the futsal team, because that would certainly be. I mean, I don't know how many people could say that in two separate sports, technically, that they coach and play. I mean, that would be kind of a pretty cool thing. Think about it, right? You coach the amputee teams. You're the head coach of the women's amputee team. You're the goalkeeper coach on the national team, and then you might have a chance to be a player on the futsal national team. That's a pretty unique feat. I mean, I don't know of many people. I'm sure somebody will fact check me on it, but that'd be a pretty cool feat. I hope, before I get to what I want to give you, before I get to closing thoughts, I mean, I think that would be a pretty cool feat. I hope that you actually make it, because again, I'm trying to think how many people could say in two separate sports, technically, they coach and play. That'd be a pretty nice feat there, I think.
I hope so. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I'm hoping, but we'll see. We'll see.
Listen, you never know. Listen, one day at a time, anything's possible. Let me get to a few more comments before I give you something before we sign off for the evening. Jules wants to say Omen could be a stand-up comedy. I hope he's not retiring from wrestling anytime soon, because I have him on Sportswire Sunday night in your chair. Hopefully he'll be less tame than you are. I'm only kidding. He has done some comedy. He's like, yeah, what a few of my friends have done stand-up comedy. I would recommend that you don't do it. I mean, because my friends weren't funny. You might be a little more funnier, Omen, but he wants to say, Paige, it was a pleasure listening to your story. Hopefully you come back and listen to mine. It's only fair since you took my title of hardcore guy. Never say never. Dark humor is definitely good. I'm going to certainly leave the comedy stuff to the professionals, because I'm an amateur at everything else I do, especially doing this here on Sports by Radio. That was my human. Before I get to closing thoughts, Coach, I kind of teased here that I wanted to give you something. Obviously, you've done so many great things on behalf of our communities for the past decade. Obviously, as a social worker, obviously playing still semi-pro, and now with the futsal teams, and being the head coach of the United States of America, 320 million people. for an entire amputee women's soccer team. You're the goalkeeper coach. You obviously do a great job for us here locally at home with the Long Island Futsal Academy, and obviously with Queens College, all the success that you had there, the New York Ecuador women's futsal team. I'm probably missing 2 or 3 things. Board of Directors, American Amputee Soccer Association. I'm sure somebody will fact check me. But, because of all you've done here for us in our communities, Coach, for all that you've done to make people's lives better and advance the game of soccer and futsal and give people an opportunity that wouldn't have an opportunity otherwise, I've decided for a change. I wanted to give you something here, Coach. And here it is here for those that are presenting it on the screen. Yeah, there you go. I wanted to give you something here. Basically, I wanted to take the time out here before we get to closing thoughts here. Let me pull off this little banner here before I can actually show it to the audience here. There we go. Let's take it off the screen. Everything that you've done here, Coach, in recognition for your outstanding leadership in the game of soccer and futsal throughout the past 10 years, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, as your host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, and your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, I wanted to recognize today, Coach, on January the 11th, 2024. Let it be recognized here on all of our Sportswire Radio platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, sportswireradio.org, and our blog, Tumblr at Sportswire Radio. It'll be Paige Palazzolo Day here on all of our platforms in recognition for all of your great work. We have this banner. I'll certainly email you the banner, the actual copy of it, but I wanted to thank you, Coach, for all that you've done for us. And I kind of wanted to say what I would think would be the best for last year in Coach Palazzolo and giving you this recognition and achievement, you might say, or certificate of appreciation for all the great things here you've done on behalf of our communities here, whether it's locally, statewide, nationally, and around the world, for everything you've done here, again, for the game of soccer and futsal. That'll be recognized one more time on January 11th, 2024 on all Sportswear Radio platforms, including Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, sportswireradio.org, and also on Tumblr at Sportswire Radio. It'll be Paige Palazzolo Day. Congratulations, Coach.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much. That's so cool. Never had a day before, but that's awesome.
Well, we did one on Monday's show because there's a very, very well-known wrestler in the backyard named Jack Delta, and it's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Jack.
Happy birthday.
And we named it on January 8th Jack Delta Day because Jack Delta has come back, and we kind of said it was home for him. I don't want to go into the details because you probably wouldn't even know what the hell I'm talking about, but the point is that we wanted to recognize you. Yes, I would like to have you in the Hall of Fame. I'd like to have you come back first on the show. I'm sure maybe you'd like to be in the Hall of Fame of Sportswire Radio if you'd like to be in that. But at first, I wanted to actually give you your own day here on Sports Radio for all you've done. In all seriousness, you've been somebody here that has done so much outside, inside the game, and you've been out there for our communities. And I just wanted to say thank you, Coach, for all you've done. And I hope that this would be a small way in showing our sign of appreciation here.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for providing a platform that allows me to share amputee soccer and our mission and what we're all about. And it's news like you and social media and everything that you do. That is the ultimate tool to building amazing things. So thank you for this and what you've done and allowing us to kind of give our story about our organization. And, we'll be in touch for sure.
Oh, you got my support. Anything I can do here,
anything
that you need on behalf, I'll do whatever you want, Coach. You have my full support. You have my full endorsement. As I always say, before I get to a few more comments and let you have a final thought or two, I always say this. Endorsements on Sportswire Radio are not given. They are earned here. You have earned this endorsement to be Paige Palazzolo Day on Sportswire Radio. You have earned it for your work inside the game, outside the game. You have made a difference for all of our communities, whether it's in Long Island, whether it's in Queens, whether it's stateswide, whether it's in the United States of America, or even in the world, by now what you've done here for amputee soccer. So I wanted to, again, show you my sign of appreciation and thank you for all you've done. Anything we can certainly do for you, we will definitely do that. I want to say hello to Mr. Craven Rage. He was the Backyard Nightmare, the one-time ruler of the yard, but he's no longer the Backyard Nightmare so much. Omen Black will have an opinion on that, but he says, Yes, you definitely deserve the Hall of Fame. Yes, we'd like to put you in the Hall of Fame, but I wanted to give you a day first because people don't get a day often on Sportswire. So I wanted to give you a day. We definitely want to induct you. I'd like to have you come back. I know you're a really busy person, but I wanted to give you the day first. I think a day is a big deal. Not everybody gets a day,
Awesome.
So we
That's
want.
so cool.
Yeah, well, we try to do different things here in Sportswire.
I love
Yes,
it.
yes. And Jules says, yes, you're definitely inspiring. Don't ever stop. You were definitely awesome. You were definitely all of that, Coach. And Coach Palazzolo, I want to give you now the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts and anything else you want to plug, share, or say. And it's been an absolute honor. And congratulations and thank you once again for all that you've done here for us. And that's why we wanted to leave this up here on the screen for the last few minutes. And the floor is yours. Fire away.
Well, thank you for all of this. The only thing I could truly say is, passion will lead you anywhere that you want to go. I never even intended to do any of these things, but because I'm just so passionate of the game, all these blessings just came my way, and I'm very lucky. And if you're passionate about what you love, then it will take you places. So anybody that's passionate about something out there, don't stop, follow your dreams, and you'll reach them.
That's it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out one more time more information on Coach Palazzolo, Instagram, Coach Paige PK, Paige Palo, and Instagram, US Amputee Soccer, very important on there. QW Soccer, LA Futsal Academy, USAmpSoccer.com, Facebook, US Amputee Soccer. They have obviously a huge recruiting week ahead coming up next weekend. Also, March 8th, May is the Nationals. We're going to see who makes the team, everything else in between. You can also catch Coach with the Queens Knights. The women's soccer team will be back in action later this year, back in September. She'll also hopefully be on the field for the futsal teams. Obviously, New York, Ecuador women's futsal team. Big shout out for them. Also, Long Island Goalkeeper Academy. She's also a part of that as well. Want to make sure we give her a shout out with that. So thank you again for all that you've done for us here, Coach. And there's an old adage here: a rising tide will always lift all boats. And you are definitely that definition of a rising tide that has lifted all boats and so many boats around the world. Coach, congratulations. And one more time, let it forever be known. On January the 11th, 2024, on all Sportswire radio platforms, it will now be Paige Palazzolo Day. Thank you so much, Coach. It's been an absolute honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything. And looking forward to speaking to you guys in the future. Can't wait. And, go USA.
Yes, and yes, we definitely want you back because you'll give me a little bit of a break of having to duck and run from tables, ladders, chairs, and fire and barbed wire. I've had to actually duck some of those things here in Sportswire. So yes, we would definitely love to have you because you'll give me a little bit of break of it because sometimes I'm in the middle of it. Sometimes we even had a gun actually on the show. A guy who actually,
nice.
Well, it was interesting. He actually pulled a gun on the show and said, "This is what I'm going to do to my opponent." But he didn't.
Something different.
Yeah, it was something different, but I'm going to certainly leave that for another time. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. We were honored to be here with Paige Palazzolo. She is the head coach of the U.S. Women's Amputee Soccer team. She's also the goalkeeper coach for the entire national team on the amputee side. She's also an assistant coach for the Queens College Knights women's soccer team. She's also a player with the New York, Ecuador women's futsal team. She's also the head coach of the Long Island Futsal Academy. She's also involved with the board of directors of the American Amputee Soccer Association. She's also, again, part with the Long Island Futsal Academy, and she's a part of so many other things here. That's why you want to follow her in the future. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. One more time, I want to thank Jason Facina for giving us this opportunity. If you're on sportswireradio.org, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, yes, this was on LinkedIn as well. I'll be back here 10 o'clock Eastern time on Sportswire Radio. I'll also be back here Saturday with Mr. ADT, not the security system, and we'll be live with Omen Black and Soldier GP. Omen will be back here in the chair. Time to be announced tomorrow night. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sports.